In today's video I'm going to show you how I plan out and scratch build a model, and I'm going to break it up into two parts, with the first video being about the actual planning and mocking up, and then the second video will be the actual build. So if you'd like to follow along with these builds and other projects, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to be reminded of when I upload new content. As with all ideas and plans, it starts with the iPad, and as you can see I'm starting up my app, which is called Sketchbook Pro, and here you've got an image of something, an idea I was doing the other day, which was the goods shed for the layout. And now I've started drawing out the plan for the workman's shed or yard shed, and I'm using my Apple Pencil to create the drawing. I think this is probably the best piece of computing equipment I've ever owned, and with the addition of the pencil it's just amazing to what one can achieve. So I took the idea from a Pico N-gauge kit, which at the time I didn't realise I was using the measurements for it, as I was wanting to build the 00 size, but as you'll see later on I just managed to enlarge the dimensions to a point they fitted the 00 scale one. So now I have the rough idea and the plan and the rough dimensions. It's time to move on to creating the drawing to print out. And here I open up the other application that I use in this process, and it's called Graphic, also by Autodesk. And also, most importantly, it's free. So I start off creating the boxes for the basic shell of the building, and obviously I'm not necessarily going to do it this way when I actually make the building, as I'll cut out separate panels for the walls. But in terms of mocking up the building in paper, I've decided to kind of make it all one piece, so it's much easier to cut out. So now I'm creating the centre line so I can create the gable ends and make sure that they're lined up and also the same height for both ends of the building. And I'm also making sure that the angle is roughly what I think is about 22 degrees. I could measure it, but I haven't, as this is kind of just a mock-up. So for the moment I'm just creating a proof of concept. Once I'm happy with the plan and the test build, I'll come back and I'll kind of create the correct kind of angles for it. I'm now creating the doorway and just using a very basic rectangle and then entering the dimensions for the door based on the fact that I know most doors are 3 foot wide and 6 foot 6 high. So in 4mm scale I work out the dimensions. Now I'm just checking the picture of the plan that I'm working towards and just looking at which side the door and window sit on. And now I'm drawing up the window, so trying to get in the kind of curve shape of it using some Bezier curves. And if you don't know what they are, they're basically curves with handles on that you can manipulate. It's all a bit rudimentary, but I'm going for kind of a look rather than the actual kind of correct dimensions. I'm doing what's kind of pleasing to the eye. And like most things with computers or computing, automation and replication are really easy. And this is what I'm doing for the window. I'm just replicating the bars of the window and then spacing them out so they look correct. And now placing in the chimney and just working out the rough height of what I want it. Again, it's all being done visually, not actually kind of measured. So what looks kind of right to me from the drawing that I was looking at earlier on. Here I'm creating another layer for the chimney, and like most programs, art programs, design programs, layers is kind of one of the most useful things that you can have, as you can separate off all the different details to a separate layer. So now with the very basic plan completed, it's time to print it out and see what it looks like. So now with the printout, I can set about measuring and cutting everything out. Now I'm measuring out the lines on the printout to see how accurate they are, and obviously cutting out the basic shape to start off with. So with the main part cut out, I'm now scoring the lines using the back of the scalpel blade, so I'm not actually cutting through, just so I can fold up and use the score lines. So now I'm using tabs with just a couple of dots of glue on to keep the walls together, and go around and do all 4 walls with the same kind of tabs. It doesn't have to be anything flash or fancy, it just has to kind of hold it together to give me an idea of the physical space it will take up. And now I'm cutting out the chimney stack that will fit on the side wall, but in the actual model it will sit somewhat proud of the wall, so there'll be a certain amount of relief to it. Again, I'm scoring the lines so I can fold it over and attach it to the side wall and glue it down. And this is not the easiest way of doing this, but again, it doesn't really matter whether it's exact or not. It's just really to give me the feeling for what it will look like. It's pretty ramshackle and not particularly pretty. I haven't attached the walls, but it's really just to give me an idea of what it looks like. So for the moment that's okay, and this is the second version, which without the mistakes. So as you can see, the mocking up is a good process to go through, as it irons out any of the mistakes you may have. And as you've seen in my video, I've made a couple that only came out once I got the print out and started putting it together. Admittedly, this is kind of the first time I've done this for a while, so I was expecting some mistakes. But it's always good to make sure that you're not cutting out good brick paper or card that you've bought. Not only that, you also get the opportunity to print it out in a number of different scales and gauges, as all you have to do is then either enlarge or decrease the size of the design, and this obviously makes it possible to do it in any kind of scale on the computer, or in my case an iPad. I wasn't planning on doing this video straight away, but I'm actually waiting for my next Metcalfe Models kits that will add on to the ones that you see up here, and there goes the RAF. And they're obviously not on lockdown. So yes, I'm waiting for my next Metcalfe Models kit, which will obviously come in other videos probably later on this week. So if you've enjoyed this video, you'll find more in playlists over here, and I'll see you on the next one.